welcome to another episode of Go Wild. I'm Kelsey and I'm here once again with Hope Zoo curator Joey Brown. And this week we'll be featuring the Jamaican owl, which is one of two owl species found here on the island.
Right, today we're going to be looking at our Jamaican owl. It's not only one of two species, but our Jamaican owl is an endemic species. So that means it's only found here in Jamaica and nowhere else in the world, which is pretty awesome. The other owl species is the barn owl, and that's kind of the larger white kind of owl that is common all around the world. But our Jamaican owl is a special, unique species found only here in Jamaica.
Where on the island could I find them?
It's fairly island-wide. Like, it's found throughout Jamaica. Typically lower elevations, closer to the coast, but you know, it's found throughout Kingston and then across the island as well.
Okay. What do they eat?
Typically, like all owls, they are carnivores, like birds of prey. So they feed specifically on meat. So a lot of times when they're smaller, they may be eating insects, lizards, frogs, and then rodents too. Rodents are a big one for most owl species, and so that's why they're actually pretty good to have around your house or in the community, because they can help control those rat and mouse populations.
I've actually read that owls can eat other owls. Is this true?
Yeah, they are kind of opportunists, so you know, especially if it's a smaller animal than them, then they will look at it as a prey item, a potential food item.
Are they endangered?
Right now they're classified as vulnerable, which is pretty close to endangered, but there's also still not a lot known about them here in Jamaica. Think about this, but a lot of people use, poison bait to kill rats and rodents around their house. Well, this poison bait is actually not good at all, because when obviously the rat eats it, and then it will die. But you don't think about, we have these owls and other birds, hawks and stuff, that eat rats. And so when they swoop down to eat this dead rat, they in turn ingest the bait, and then it can kill these wild birds indirectly. We need a lot more research and population studies to tell, because there's a very good chance their population is endangered, we just don't know yet.
So does this mean that they can't be kept as pets?
No, they cannot be kept as pets. So like all native bird species, they are protected species, which means they're illegal to have as pets. They're obviously illegal to hunt or harass. We have special permits here at the zoo, and then many of our owls do come in as rescues, because we are obviously, like we've talked about, like a wildlife rescue sanctuary. And so a lot of times we get baby orphan owls that possibly fall out of the nest and they can't be returned to the nest, so they come to the zoo to be rehabilitated and hand-fed so they can be released back into the wild.
In terms of reproduction, how often do they reproduce?
So typically about once a year. So the females typically thought to lay about 2 to 3 eggs, usually around like December to May, June. Sometimes when one of the chicks kind of birds is growing, they may push another one out of the nest. This is just kind of an advantage for them to kind of get more food and stuff. So that's why you typically might find an owl on the ground, and that's why we get all these calls about people like, I found this owl on the ground, can I bring it to the zoo? And so we encourage everyone to always first try to return it to the nest if possible, or back up in the same tree, because the mom will start taking care of it again. If that's not possible, we tell them to bring it to the zoo, and we'll go ahead and kind of raise it up until it's able to fly again, and then release it back into the wild.
I've heard that they're really good predators.
Yes, so they are birds of prey. All owls in general have a couple of neat features that make them excellent kind of successful hunters. One of which is kind of like their eyes and ears. So they are nocturnal, so they see really well in darkness. Their eyes are also situated kind of front-facing. Their eyeballs are fixed, so they can't move their eyeballs. So like when they want to look in a direction, they have to rotate their head. They can't rotate it all the way around, but they can turn their head almost in complete 270 degrees. They have what's called asymmetric hearing, so their ears are kind of in different placements on the sides of their head, and this helps them really narrow down the most minute sounds from, let's say, a mouse running on the forest floor or a lizard running up a tree. Another really cool feature is their flying. So they have special, almost feathers that allow them to fly in complete silence. They have some impressive talons. They have those nails on the end of their feet that are just like sharp daggers, and that's how usually when they come down, whether it's a lizard or a mouse or frog, they can sneak up on it, swoop down on it, and then catch it. And then once they have it in their talons, there's no way it's getting away. Yeah.
What's its lifespan?
We think probably around 25 years.
I've heard Jamaicans call owls patu.
Yes.
Is this the same thing?
Yes and no. So it's kind of confusing, because in Jamaica they call the owls patus. It's not an owl, but it's kind of looks like an owl. It has big eyes. It's an insectivore, but the Jamaican kind of have a slang word for these owls that we call patus.
Given that the owl is like in a cage,
yes,
is this healthy for it?
Yes, because they still have room to fly around. I mean, we rescue a lot of owls, and all the ones that can be rehabilitated and released, they are released. But sometimes they have owls, they may have a specific wing injury or a fracture where they can't fly. And if we were to release them, they would die immediately. We keep them here at the zoo for educational purposes. They can be almost like an ambassador animal, and we can learn about them, and they can still live a nice, happy, healthy life.
How much does it cost to maintain the owls here at the zoo?
They're not too expensive to maintain. Ours feed on a mix, some baby chicks, or usually some small mice or rats. But these chicks are donated from our good friends at CB, and these are chicks that were probably that would not be able to sell for normal distribution, and so they're donated to the zoo.
Well, that's it for this week's episode of Go Wild. Join us again next week to learn more about the animals right here at Hope Zoo. Until then, I am Kelsey.
I'm Joey.